is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
Your Rangers winning streak stands at 3, thanks in part to a lot of clutch hitting, especially with 2 outs. It's a reminder of the always present, never ever quit mindset that these guys have. Tonight, they go for 4 with Derek Holland taking the mound. Your Rangers meet the Los Angeles Angels next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT high-speed internet. It is an absolutely gorgeous evening here at Globe Life Park. A good crowd filing in to see Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Rangers and the Los Angeles Angels. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Delighted you could join us on this Saturday night of Ranger baseball. Rangers looking to make it 2 in a row over the Angels, 4 in a row overall, and they've been hot here at home. A guy that hopes to benefit from that tonight, an important cog in the Ranger rotation, and that's Derek Holland.
Derek Holland is definitely that, Buzz. The Ranger starters have probably been the strength of the team so far this season, a month into the season. Derek has had 4 starts. They've been solid. His opponent's batting average is among the leaders in the American League. You know, Derek has said many times since spring training, I want to put the injury years behind me. I want to be a leader on the team. I want to take the ball every 5 days. I want to throw 200 innings, and I need to get the job done. He has no excuses, and so far after 4 starts, everything's gone very well.
He is on track. The Rangers are on track to have a very good homestand. They can get this one tonight under their belt against the Angels. So we'll see what happens here this evening under beautiful skies. Adrian Beltre and the Rangers getting set to take on the Angels. We'll come back with the starting lineups to the first pitch right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Buy AT high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. Buy Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And buy Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. A large crowd settling into their seats, about ready to get things underway here on this beautiful Saturday evening in North Texas. Rangers and Angels getting set to hook things up. Before we get started, let's check in with Emily Jones.
Well, Buzz, as you and Tom talked about at the top of the show, Derek Holland off to a solid start this season. 2-1 in 4 starts with a 3.13 ERA. I asked Derek if anything at all has changed about him over his last 5 years in the bigs.
The only thing I would say that's different is my curveball's a lot better. Everything else is still the same. The confidence is definitely, I think, the bigger thing. I really am very confident with each one of my pitches. A little more cockier out there on the, that sounds right, a little cockier on the mound, but just everything's still the same. I mean, I'm just locating a little bit better.
Derek taking that confidence to the mound tonight against the Angels, looking for his 5th consecutive start, allowing 3 runs rather, or less, guys.
All right, and thank you very much. Well, we'll see how things fall into place tonight for Derek Holland and the Rangers, and they'll be facing an Angels lineup put together by Mike Scioscia. Tom Green's going to tell you all about that one.
Yunel Escobar, third baseman, will lead off. Johnny Giavotella moves up to second in the lineup, 4 for his last 7. Mike Trout, hot, batting third in center field. Albert Pujols is the cleanup hitter. Cole Calhoun, in his last 22 games against the Rangers, has been a .330 hitter. Andrelton Simmons is the shortstop. C.J. Cron, only hitting 185, but he's done well against the Rangers in the past. Carlos Perez is the catcher, and batting ninth is the left fielder, Rafael Ortega.
So that is the lineup that Derek Holland will face as he takes the hill tonight against Mike Scioscia's ball club. Derek Holland coming in with that 2-1 mark, the 3.13 ERA. This is his 5th start. 23 innings of work for Holland and 17 strikeouts with a 2.12 opponent's batting average. Let's take a look at the defense that lines up behind Holland. It's brought to you tonight by Chicken Express. Outfield, back to normal. Desmond in left, the Shields in center, Mazzara in right. Moreland and Odor on the right side of the infield. Anderson, Beltre man the left side with Brett Nicholas behind the plate here this evening, catching Derek Holland. So the Rangers come in first place in the AL West. They're a half game ahead of Seattle. Seattle playing at home tonight. Rangers at 13-10. And the first pitch of the evening is fouled away by Yunel Escobar. Escobar, a .272 average. 3 home runs, 7 driven in. Not a whole lot of luck against Derek Holland. Just 4 for 19 is Escobar. A hanging breaking ball is smoked down the left field line. That's in the corner. And Escobar into second with a slide as Ian Desmond able to dig it out of that corner and make it reasonably close. But it is a leadoff double, and it'll bring up Johnny Giavotella.
That looked like the curveball that Derek was talking about with Emily, but he never got it down where he wanted to get it. Ended up pretty much in the middle of the plate. Escobar hit it toward the end of the bat. He's slightly out in front of it. But when you hit the ball in that direction, it doesn't matter how hard you hit it. It's going to fall in for at least a base hit. In that case, a double.
Well, Escobar at second to start things off. Now Giavotella, who moved up from the bottom of the batting order last night, hitting second tonight against the left-hander. He lines one to the door. Quickly to Anderson, he throws it away. It's into left field. And by the time that Escobar figured out where the ball was, Desmond had gone and gotten the errant throw. Well, that almost was a couple of things. Almost a double play and almost a tragedy.
Yeah, it almost turned into exactly what Giavotella was trying to do. Get the guy from second over to third. If you're Giavotella, you can't do much better than this. He's trying to hit the ball to the right side, and he hits a rope Unfortunately for Giovitella, he hit it right at Rugned. And that would have been an interesting call.
Yeah.
If Elvis could have caught it. Would have been a very close play, but they might have had the double play. Rugie knew he had to fire that ball to Elvis to have any chance, and he did.
Elvis trying to explain to Beltre what happened, and Adrian knows very well what happened. He just wanted Elvis to know that he was watching. So 1 out. Here's Mike Trout. There's the slow breaking ball that dips in for strike one. Trout, 305, and he's been on a pretty good tear of late. 5 home runs, 13 driven in. And the career numbers against Holland, a couple of home runs for Trout, 11 for 35. Trout brings a 9-game hitting streak into play tonight. I think easily the hottest hitter and most dangerous hitter in this Angel lineup. And Holland very quickly out in front. 0-2 with a couple of off-speed pitches.
Yeah, Trout missed that last one because of the speed of the pitch, not the location. He's actually in a pretty good spot to hit.
There's that hitting streak we were talking about for Trout. 438. That's the 3rd longest active streak in baseball. 0-2. Holland has the advantage in the count. Escobar at second base. A leadoff double, then a line out. He had to stay there. Trout waiting right at the back of that batter's box. To right field, Mazzara is going back. Has room maybe in front of the wall and makes the catch. Tagging at second. And moving to third is Escobar. Trout on an 0-2 pitch came within an eyelash of hitting the ball out, but it's a long out, number 2. And Holland now an opportunity to get Pujols and get out of the inning.
Yeah, the way that Trout swung at this pitch and the way it left the bat, it didn't look like it was a threat to be a home run. Nomar's kind of drifting and kept going all the way to the wall. That ball would have hit halfway up the wall if he didn't catch it. It's a long out, and Derek now has to get Pujols to get out of the inning.
That's a strong man.
Yeah, it shows you how strong he is
to
hit a ball like that and have it go that far.
Well, here's Pujols still trying to get on track for the Angels. One more look at Trout's swing on that last pitch. It was a breaking ball from Holland.
Yeah, it's actually about as well as you can swing the bat at that pitch.
Yep.
The pitch looked like it was about 6 inches outside. Really wasn't fooled. It was just the pitch was far enough away from him or even he couldn't hit the ball out.
Pujols also with 5 home runs this year. Off the end of the bat, and that will twist foul down the first base side.
Well, that was a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. He swung at it like it was a changeup. Cued it right off the end of the bat.
If it had been 99, he would have been right on it.
99, he'd have roped it into the right center field gap.
Saw the numbers that Pujols has against Holland. 3 home runs and a .320 career average.
Good pitch.
1-2.
Off speed. You could see Brett Nicholas put his glove down and away, almost off the plate. And it really fooled Pujols. And with that location, once you swing at it, you're pretty much done on that swing.
Derek can get that pitch where he wants to against this team right now, the way the right-handers are swinging. He's got a pretty good chance. Again, Trout, the one that really is tearing it up. But the other right-handers, Pujols and Cron and Simmons, not off to great starts. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. With runners in scoring position this year, Pujols a little bit better than the overall numbers, but still not great for him. And with over 1,700 RBI in his career. The Ranger defense swung around to the left, but not in an overshift with Pujols up there. 2-2 as Holland sets. Off the end of the bat, Elvis flags it down, and the long throw in time That will do it. So Holland, with a little bit of help, works around the leadoff double. Angels strand one. Will go to the bottom of the first inning. Angels nothing. Rangers coming up on Fox Sports Southwest. In the first inning without scoring. Rangers coming to bat. Now here's the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers lineup. Rougned Odor leads off. He's followed by Nomar Mazara, then Adrian Beltre. Prince Fielder, the DH, bats cleanup. Ian Desmond in left field. Mitch Moreland bats sixth and plays at first. Elvis Andrus, the shortstop. Brett Nicholas behind the plate. And Delino DeShields back in the lineup. He is batting ninth and playing center field. And that lineup facing the 29-year-old right-hander Matt Shoemaker. He's much better on the road this year than he is at home. Last year was the same kind of trend, but it is a drastic comparison this year. ERA under 2 on the road, and at home, not very good.
He's gotten bombed twice at home and been great twice on the road.
And the Rangers, one of those teams that bombed him, got 6 runs and 3 innings off of Mountain Anaheim in the first matchup. They'll see if they can follow that same roadmap. It got to their destination in that 7-3 victory. Odor with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. As you saw, a .244 average with 3 home runs, 14 driven in. Down the left field line, that is in for extra bases. Into the corner goes Ortega, and cruising into second, a leadoff double. Rougned Odor, and Odor said to Escobar, well, if you can do it, I'll do it too.
Yeah, well, now I'm going to hit mine hard. Well, see if the Rangers can move that leadoff double all the way around. The Angels were unable to get Escobar around. The fastball with a lot of tailing action to it. Actually started out well in the strike zone, ended up a couple of inches out of the strike zone, but it was up about belt high. And you could see the kind of hitter that Rougned is, to be able to hit that pitch that hard down the left field line. And the next time up, he might get that same pitch on the inside part of the plate and pull it down the right field line. Yep.
So Odor at second with the leadoff 2-bagger. Here's Nomar Mazara. Infield in an overshift to Mazara. And Shoemaker drops in the off-speed pitch. Mazara, 339, although he's calmed down a little bit. And a little bit dropped him all the way down to 339. That's pretty good cushion that he had going. Couple of home runs, 6 driven in. Trying to at least get Odor over to third. Right into the runner. Boy, Simmons looked like he caught the ball back of Rougned's hand. If he'd gotten out in front of it a little bit, he might have had it. That was a bang-bang play as it was. No, he did have it out in front. Sorry, Anderson. I didn't see it that well, apparently. Carlos Perez throwing the signs out. He's the catcher tonight.
The Shoemaker's got a pretty good changeup. That was the first changeup that Mazzara had seen from him tonight, and he had no problem taking it. A wilder swinger might have been way out in front and swung at that pitch out of the strike zone. He just looked at it like he knew it was coming.
Yeah, 2 years ago when Shoemaker won 16 games as a rookie, that split-fingered fastball that he throws for a changeup, that was it right there.
Couldn't lay off that one.
No, that was his out pitch. He had great command of it. He'd throw it virtually in any count, and he combined that with a 92, 93 mile an hour fastball, and it was a pretty tough combination. Last year, not so much. See the numbers on Mazzara. Hitting safely in 7 of his last 8 ball games, trying to at least advance Rougned Odor. The infield now shifting a little bit back to normal. Called strike 3. Mazzara set up pretty nicely that time by Shoemaker, and couldn't make the adjustment on the inside fastball.
Yeah, he worked him over pretty well that time. Threw him a couple of off-speed pitches. Definitely in the back of your mind with 2 strikes, you've just seen him, you're aware of him, and then he's aiming at the inside corner and brings that ball well back into the strike zone. You can see the movement on that pitch, where the catcher set up and where it ended up. That was a pretty good fastball, pretty good movement on it.
So one very big out for Shoemaker. Here's Adrian Beltre, who has enjoyed hitting against Shoemaker in the past. He's 5 for 13. Takes ball 1. Adrian for the season, a .287 average. 13 RBI, 3 home runs. The 3 home runs tied for the team leadership. There's the numbers against Shoemaker he told you about. Gets that on the inside corner. 1-1. Adrian making his 24th start. All of them at third base this year. Last 18 ball games, after a little bit of a slow start, he has come on to hit .309. Two and one. You never know what you're going to get from Adrian up there. Sometimes he's playing traffic cop. Sometimes he's.
Now he's one guy. If you come to a game and all you did was watch him, you'll be entertained for 9 innings.
Oh, yeah.
And not just when he's batting or when he's fielding, but in between time is when it's fun to watch him.
This ball hit pretty well to right field. Calhoun back with room. Tagging at second, Odor. He will move over to third, but he'll be there with 2 outs now. And it'll be up to Prince Fielder if the Rangers are to keep this inning alive. And we'll take a look at the rest of the Angel defense, brought to you by T-Mobile tonight. You saw Calhoun in right field, Trout in center, Ortega in left field. The right side of the infield, Giovatello at second, Pujols at first. Simmons and Escobar on the left side, Carlos Perez catching, and Matt Shoemaker is on the hill. Shoemaker had an interesting story in that he was an undrafted player out of college. He went to Eastern Michigan. And you don't find many anymore undrafted, at least players in the United States, especially in college, that end up making it to the minor leagues, much less the major leagues. Shoemaker, one of those guys that kind of slipped through the cracks somehow and got the opportunity with the Angels and kind of zoomed through their minor league system in a matter of 2 years. Pitch to Fielder, and that evens the count now at a ball and a strike.
Occasionally what will happen is there'll be a shortage at a certain position in the lower levels of the minor leagues, and the farm director or scouting director will call around to the scouts and say, we need a college starting pitcher who can kind of stabilize a lower rotation in the minor leagues. If you got anybody in mind, and they'll suggest 2 or 3 guys, and maybe that was the case with Shoemaker. They didn't draft him, but they still thought he was a very good college pitcher that could help a minor league team. Gave him a chance, and turned out he's a whole lot better than that. But it is unusual for sure.
Yeah, and credit Shoemaker. He's made the most of the opportunity that he had.
Yeah, I would guess he's better now than he was at that point in time.
Most likely.
Because the stuff he has now will definitely get you drafted.
Gets that in for a strike at the knees. 2-2. Shoemaker facing Prince Fielder. Prince had a big RBI last night. One of the 2-out RBI hits in that 3-run sixth for the Rangers. Ripped to right field. Toward the corner, it is fair. Odor scores. Prince Fielder gets it done again with 2 outs. Steaming into second with the RBI 2-bagger. The Rangers take an early 1-0 lead.
Well, kind of a similar bottom of the first to the top of the first, with one difference. The fourth place hitter made the last out without getting the run in, and in this particular case, Prince gets a pitch off speed. Maybe that splitter, instead of 93 miles an hour, was 88 miles an hour, and Prince turned on it and looked like he hit the chalk with it down the right field line. Hit that ball hard.
Now, Prince Fielder with career RBI number 1001. Now, he is at second now. Rangers on top early. Here's Ian Desmond. Desmond, you remember, ripped a double right down the third baseline last night, and Fielder, running on a 3-2 pitch, scored all the way from first. And I think that excitement really got the Rangers enthusiastic for the last several innings.
I loved Prince's answers when Emily asked him about that after the game. He said, once I get going that fast, I can't stop.
Well, and he judged it right, though. Sheer speed that got him that far.
I think the catcher was probably glad that throw was a little bit offline, so he didn't have to stand his ground near home plate, because if the big guy couldn't stop, the catcher was in deep trouble.
Now, Ian Desmond now with his 3rd home run just the other day, and now 9 RBI. He has had all of his home runs in the last 8 ball games. Well, he had a rip at that fastball. Came up empty, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Saw Desmond in last night's ball game go 2 for 4, and he pulled one right down the left field line. He shot a base hit to right field. So he, again, using the entire ballpark. 2-2 now. And not only is he driving in a few runs, he's 7th in the American League with 18 runs scored. So Desmond getting on base, getting that done, being part of the aggressive base running Rangers. Simmons uncorks that long throw, and that will do it. But Rangers put a couple of doubles on the board. Prince Fielder, the 2-out RBI double. Rangers get a run on 2 hits and leave one after 1. Texas 1, LA nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Once again, our game is on AFN, American Forces Network, broadcasting to U.S. Armed Forces serving around the world on land and on ships at sea. We'd like to welcome you all in, and again, thank you very much for your service to our great country. Well, Derek Holland takes a 1-0 lead out for the second inning. He'll face Cole Calhoun, Andrelton Simmons, and C.J. Cron. Calhoun, 256. Little pop-up out behind second. Elvis has this under control. That is out number 1. And before Simmons steps in, let's say hello to Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Great crowd here tonight at Globe Life Park. Little Camilla, how old?
3 months.
3 months. Good to have her out here. Also, as you mentioned, Buzz, law enforcement night. A few guys here from Athens, Texas. And you guys are what?
We're deputy sheriffs for Henderson County Sheriff's Office.
All right, great to have you guys here. Enjoy the game. Appreciate all you do. Appreciate it. Thanks. There you go. Go Rangers.
Thanks, Knoxy. Derek Holland pumping in strike 1 to Andrelton Simmons. Shortstop hitting at 253 over from the Atlanta Braves, where he spent the first 6 years of his major league career. Very aggressive hitters. We've seen, you know him a little bit in the opposing uniform. Likes to swing up there at the earliest possible place in the count. Softly hit to right field for Nomar Mazara. 2 gone. So after the leadoff double in the first inning, Holland now has retired the last 5, and with 2 outs and the bases empty, C.J. Cron will come up. Cron with a 185 mark. He has had no luck against Derek Holland at 0 for 8 in his career.
Now, Cron hit everybody else last year. He had a pretty good record against the Rangers.
Yeah, 20 RBI in the 19 games they matched up. Seemed like every time he came up, there were people on base, and that was not good news. Call strike to even the count.
You know, Cron is not hitting for much of an average, and it's early in the season, but last year he was up almost 400 times and only walked 17 times. At least he's increased his walk totals. He's walked more than half of that total so far this year.
That one hit well to right field. Mazara back, leaps against the wall, and can't make the play. It's off the wall. Thrown around second, headed for third, and he's in with a slide.
That was a pretty good throw by Mazara. Threw that thing almost from the warning track on 1 hop to third base. He had the ball in his glove. It looked like when his glove hit the wall, the ball popped out of his glove. A little bit like the play he made in Chicago. Let's see what he does. It goes up over the wall, would have been a home run, and then it comes out of his glove as the glove comes back off the wall. But that definitely was over the fence, in the glove, and then you can see the glove, the angle of the glove, when his wrist hits the top of the wall. We saw that play in Chicago. He took one away from Todd Frazier and almost did the same thing right there.
Boy, that would have been something.
Kept it from being a home run.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So it goes down as a 2-out triple for Cron. He is now at third, and Carlos Perez steps to the plate, the catcher, batting at 160. One more look at that great effort by Nomar Mazara.
He knows right where he is. Had his arm out right near the wall, so he had a good idea. And he had the ball right in the middle of his glove. He just couldn't hang on to it when he hit the wall.
1-1 as Holland tried off the plate inside. Carlos Perez just 2 for his last 15 times to the plate. Delino to Shields got a good read on that. He's there to make the grab. That'll do it. So the 2-out triple. No damage done. A runner stranded. We'll go to the bottom of the second inning. It's the Rangers 1, the Angels 0 on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. A nice sized crowd on hand for this Saturday night Ranger Angel baseball, and the Rangers on top 1-0 as Mitch Moreland leads off the bottom of the second inning. Moreland, Andrews, and Nicholas to face Matt Shoemaker. And we'll take a look, as long as Mitch is up there, at our TXU Energy Power Player to watch, and that would be the man on your screen. Moreland, a .353 average this season at home. 7 of his 12 hits have gone for extra bases. We've seen him go basically foul pole to foul pole in this ballpark this year.
That was a well-positioned changeup right there, because Mitch had ideas he was going to turn a fastball around. Well, that was a smart pitch by Shoemaker.
Season numbers for Mitch: .257, had a couple of hits last night, 2 for 5 against Shoemaker. Trout moving to his left. That is out number 1.
He got in on him just a little bit. Kept the ball from carrying.
So Mitch flies out. Now Elvis Andrews will come up. Elvis took an 0 for 2 last night. He did draw a walk. He still had a very good homestand. He's been a .333 hitter over the homestand, just as he is for the entire season. Again, these numbers include starting the season 0 for 2. In the 20 games since then, Elvis has been a .343 hitter as he takes strike 1. He tops all American League shortstops with his 13 RBI. Good production. Matter of fact, this is one of the top 3 months in Elvis's career RBI-wise. His career best came back in September of 2013 when he had 18. This will be the last day of the month, so if Elvis is going to set himself a new career high, he's going to have to find a way to drive in 6.
I like our chances if he does that.
To right field, Calhoun after it dives, and he comes up with it. What a play by Cole Calhoun.
Well, if he misses that ball, it's at least a triple. And if it hits the wall the right way and caroms to right center field, might have been an inside the park home run. What a play by Calhoun. Saw him almost make a play last night diving. He got a little bit of a bad jump on it. That one, though, he gets a good jump. That's laying out to make a play. Elvis leads the American League with 3 triples. That probably would have been his 4th.
Yep. And as you say, at least a triple.
At least.
You know, Calhoun, the Gold Glove outfielder from last year, showing you why there. Now Brett Nicholas. Fastball straightens him up for ball 1. Brett, a .240 average with a home run and 3 driven in. For Brett, his 8th start behind the plate this year.
That is parallel to the ground right there. That's a big, strong kid, and he's very athletic to go along with it, boy.
And Nicholas pops it up. Long run in for Ortega. Plenty of time to get there, though, and that'll do it. So the Rangers go in order, although made some noise with the contact. 3 up, 3 down after 2. Rangers 1, Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
Rangers leading the Angels by a score of 1-0. This is the second of 3, so the finale tomorrow, and the first 7,500 kids ages 13 and under tomorrow through the gates get one of these, a Prince Fielder autographed wiffle ball and wiffle bat set. This is a very coveted item. I've already been asked for players if they can get their hands on one of these. First 7,500 through the doors get these tomorrow. You got to be 13 or under, guys, so you can't go down there and grab one. But 13 and under, 7,500 kids. TexasRangers.com to get your tickets, or 972 Rangers. And this one has Henry Jones McCoy's name written all over it. Put it in my purse right now, guys.
All right, Em. He'll love that. You get mom of the day for that. Bring that home. Well, Derek Holland out to start the third. Rafael Ortega, the number 9 hitter. And there's Mitch Moreland making a nice dive to his left for the out. You know, Mitch playing even with the bag, and he had to be pretty quick to flag that one down.
Yeah, one thing we'd never do is take Mitch's defense for granted. He is quick for a big guy. Got great hands, and he can handle that position very well.
Well, a couple of very good defensive plays tonight behind Derek Holland. One by Nomar Mazar to take a ball from over the wall, bring it back in. Even though it was a triple, it saved the run. Top of the order, Yunel Escobar, who began things tonight by doubling softly into the left field corner, and he takes ball 1. Escobar now a .280 average with that first inning 2-bagger. Good pitch there, got him on the fists. 2 gone. And before Johnny Giovatello steps in, let's send it over to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Josh Hamilton starting his rehab assignment. Giovatello pop up to shallow right, and Mazara takes care of it. So that is the first 1-2-3 inning for Derek Holland tonight. Sets the Angels down in order. We played 2.5. It's still the Rangers on top, 1-0. Cole Hamels takes the mound this season. Section 9 becomes Hamels Heroes, and everyone purchasing a ticket in Hamels Heroes section receives a t-shirt and a K card. Visit TexasRangers.com/Hamels. Purchase your tickets for tomorrow, and when Cole takes the mound, it'll be a 2:05 start against these Angels. Hamels Heroes.
I will pretty much guarantee you that that little girl we were showing has a great personality. she is just having a ball. And if that mustache is real, that might be the best one since Raleigh Fingers right there.
That's a pretty full mustache.
Wow.
Delino to Shields starting the third inning off for the Rangers, and despite hitting in the number 9 slot, Delino leading off. That's kind of where the Rangers like to have him. Up the middle, and that is right by Shoemaker into center field.
Well, the skipper's formula for giving guys a couple of days off seems to be working pretty well. Worked for Ian Desmond and Delino after a couple of days off. First good pitch he sees to hit, he rips it up the middle for a base hit.
Almost took Shoemaker's hip pocket off.
He's glad he got his leg out of the way.
Well, third hit of the night for the Rangers. The first non-extra base hit of the game for either team. A 1 on, nobody out. Now the top of the order, officially, Rougned Odor. Rougned laced a double into the left field corner and scored in the first inning. One thing about having Delino hitting 9th and Odor hitting 1st is you get Delino on, you've got a lot of options. Odor handles the bat pretty well, but he has good speed, and of course Delino runs like the wind, so it's some pretty good offensive options for the skipper. How about a double into the right field corner? That'll do it. That's a foul ball.
Boy, there must have been some debate on this one.
Holy cow.
Rougned thought it was fair.
Yep. And it took a couple of seconds, I think, for Dale Scott to make his mind up. Steve Buechele talking with the crew upstairs of Bobby Jones and Adam Brenner. See where that thing hit.
Wow.
I saw chalk.
I saw chalk.
I saw chalk too.
I don't know if it's because the dirt that it hit kicked toward the chalk.
Yeah.
But chalk came up. Boy, this is going to be interesting.
Well, and
I'd say 95% of that ball was foul. But
yeah.
5% might have hit the chalk.
And I assume that if any part of the ball brings up any chalk at all, it's got to be a fair ball, huh?
Yeah. All you have to do is have one, whatever, centimeter of that ball hit the chalk, and it's fair, technically. This would be an interesting call.
Mike Social.
He's going to lobby before they even look at it.
He's going to lobby, say, hey, look.
You're not even thinking about calling this thing fair, are you?
Could I convince you guys that was a foul ball? Watch when this thing hits, there's a little poof of chalk coming up. Right there.
I think it's got to be fair.
I do too.
I can see why Dale called that ball foul.
Yeah.
Because he can't see the chalk, and it really looks like it's foul. There's more dirt coming up than there is chalk.
Right.
So I can see why he called that ball foul. I would have called it foul from down there too, but after the replay, might look at it a little bit differently. It's going to be an interesting call.
No, he mentioned Adam Brenner and Bobby Jones last night doing a great job of the out at second base on Pujols. Bobby Jones said Adam was the one that picked it up very quickly. They were able to relay that to the bench. But well, that's a pretty good combination. Here they've got back-to-back nights now to maybe make a difference on this one.
Yeah, if I was the replay guy, I don't know if I even would have been looking at that play last night.
Right.
You just never assumed you could get a call on that play.
Well, and I think Jeff Bannister was talking about that. I believe it was after the game last night. He was quoted as saying, you know, we've emphasized, hey, watch everything from start to finish.
Yeah.
If there's anything, any possibility, to take a close look at it.
Sure.
Let us know.
Sure.
And boy, they did it last night, and it turned a rather difficult situation into a very manageable situation for the Rangers.
Well, they've looked at this one more than once, so they're not sure.
And without blowing it up, there's still some chalk coming
I got to go fair on that.
Yeah. Although, admittedly, we might be a little bit biased about it, but not much.
We said after Rougned lined that double down the left field line the first time up, that if he gets one inside the next time up, he might line one down the right field line. See if he actually comes away with it. But he hit a rope down the left field line. Obviously, that was a rope down the right field line. And they're looking at it more than once. That's when you see the chalk come up on the first one, but the ball looks so far to the right that they're looking at it more than once to make their mind up.
Yeah, the umpire on your left there, Dale Scott, is the crew chief, the one who made the call. And Bob Davidson, the third base umpire, the next senior umpire with the headsets on. And we look at a tight shot of that. Now, they're not going to look at that on the replay, but there's chalk all over the place. It had to have drawn chalk. Let's go down to Emily.
Well, guys, Bobby Jones has talked about how stressful a job that he has now and how he pays such close attention to every single play that goes on. Case in point right here.
And it's going to be a double. So the ball is reversed. Not a foul ball. It is going to be a double. There'll be runners at second and third. And I guess what they were looking at, Tom, was where do we place the lead runner?
Yeah, good call. I never thought of that.
Why it would take a little bit extra time.
Sure. Because I guess you got to factor in DeShield's speed as well.
Yeah, and how the ball caromed, possibly.
Yeah.
But I think the conservative approach would have been to give Delino the two bases also, and not say you would have created a firestorm if Associate had seen Delino given home on that, given three bases on that double.
Yeah, as it stands, replay is not serving the Angels very well so far in this series.
Not very well, is it?
I mean, it's all fair, but
so to speak,
it has gone the Rangers' way.
So a single, now a double, with the help of a replay review. Rangers with runners at second and third, nobody out. Nomar Mazara.
Rubnet has led off 5 out of the last 6 games now. And the way that it's looked so far in this game, with Delino batting ninth, getting a base hit, Rubnet swinging the bat at the top of the lineup, may see him there more often now.
Here's Mazara, who was called out on strikes his first time up there. Not wasting any time, drives one to left. It's playable for Ortega. He makes the catch. Both runners are tagging. Scoring is DeShields. Into third is Odor. The Rangers take a 2-0 lead. Nomar Mazara with the RBI, and the extra 90 feet also for Odor, who's at third now with only 1 out.
He went up looking for a pitch to hit, a pitch up and out over the plate that he could hit in the air, and drove it deep enough in left field to not only score the runner from third, but to move the guy from second over to third, make the Angels play the infield in, and give Adrian a chance to pick up a run. Good job by Nomar right there, bringing in a run.
He elicits applause from the skipper. So, with 1 out now and Beltre up there, the infield pulls all the way in. And Shoemaker will go to the windup. And Beltre loops one to left. That's going to fall for an RBI single. Well, you play the infield in. I don't know if you're playing back, they could have gotten to it, but at least you removed all doubt. And Adrian got jammed and just kind of floated it into left center. Beltre the RBI. The Rangers lead it 3-0.
When the Rangers bombed Shoemaker in Anaheim, there were a lot of hits that weren't necessarily hit right on the sweet part of the bat. Some balls found holes, and in fact, Shoemaker commented after the game he thought he was throwing the ball pretty well, but a lot of balls found holes. That's the first one that hasn't been hit hard today. Odor has ripped a couple of doubles, Fielder ripped a double, and DeShields smoked the ball back through the middle. So the Rangers have hit the ball hard.
And here's the aforementioned Prince Fielder, who takes ball 1. And looking back at that Shoemaker outing on April the 8th against the Rangers, 3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 earned runs with 3 walks and 2 strikeouts. And a little bad luck, but that sometimes happens.
Well, both doubles hit down the line. Fielder's double looked like it hit on the same right field line, maybe on the left side of the chalk, but that wasn't fair by very much either. So both of those doubles are very close to being foul, and so the Rangers were very fortunate that both of those stayed fair.
One more ball in that area, and Dennis Klein is going to have his grounds crew go down there and re-chalk the line. 2 balls and a strike to Prince. That average now up over the 200 mark, 202. Team high 17 RBI for Fielder. He's got Beltre at first. 1 out, 2 runs across in the 3rd. 2-2. Looked like that splitter that right at the bottom of the strike zone. Fielder 71 times this season has hit against the shift. That's the 7th most in Major League Baseball. You see almost every team in every situation shift on him. And he lines one to left for a base hit. He just went down and got that. Beltre to second will stop there. And Fielder has smoked the ball twice.
Well, Prince has pulled one down the line, gone to left center. Rugi's gone down the left field line, down the right field line. There's a tailing fastball right at the bottom of the strike zone away. If you're a pitcher and you throw your fastball with movement there, you're thinking good things might happen. But Prince was still able to line that ball sharply into left field.
The Rangers now with half a dozen hits tonight. They have 4 in this inning. Ian Desmond, a ground ball to short his first time. Got a chance here with Beltre at second, Fielder at first to do some more damage. Rangers had a 3-run 6th inning last night. Gave them the margin of victory. Ball 1. Desmond a big part of that 3-run inning as he drove home the go-ahead run. That double into the left field corner scored Fielder all the way from first. Desmond brings in a 3-game hitting streak. He's gone 5 for 11. A ball and a strike. Shoemaker with a belt high set and a check of Beltre. Up the middle, that's into center field, a base hit. Beltre being waved around third. Trout decides not to try it at home. The throw goes to third. Beltre scores. Desmond with the RBI single. It is 4-0 Rangers.
Well, the Rangers continue to pick up runs with men in scoring position. That's been a strength in the month of April. Guys like Elvis and Rubnet have been among the league leaders batting with men in scoring position. There's another example of it right there. Ian Desmond, who came into the game hitting .394 in his last 10 games, stays hot and picks up a run.
Well, he stayed right. That looked like the slider from Shoemaker, and Ian stayed right on that. Rangers with a pretty good game plan. They've had some great at bats.
You know, it doesn't look to me like Shoemaker's throwing all that bad.
It's really not.
He's throwing, you know, a 92, 3-mile-an-hour fastball. He's had good movement on it. He's had a splitter and a slider. I think this is just a case of the Rangers through 3 innings just swinging the bats exceptionally well.
And I think that the time that they saw him out in Anaheim, I think it gave them a pretty good idea of what to expect. And, you know, even if Shoemaker executes, the Rangers are zeroed in pretty well on what he's doing.
They've hit some pretty good pitches.
So 3 runs across, another big inning for the Rangers, and still only 1 out with Mitch Moreland at the plate. Ball 1. Moreland skied to center, back in the 2nd inning.
One thing the Rangers have done, especially at home, is they've put together big innings. They've had several 5-run innings, 3-run inning last night, working on a 3-run inning right now. They've been able to string hits together.
To right field, it is on its way. Goodbye. That puts an exclamation point on a big inning. 7-0 Rangers.
I just don't think Shoemaker can make a pitch that they're not going to have a good swing at. And again, it's not because he's got bad stuff. The Rangers are just hot right now. That pitch looked like a borderline strike. I don't know if it was a strike, up and in. It's just turned on it, hit it almost over the seats into the concourse down the right field line.
Marlins' third home run of the year, a 3-run blast. Now with 11 RBI. No fireworks last night, fireworks tonight.
Trying to throw it down and away. Yeah, that kind of comes back toward the middle of the plate. That wasn't in at all. He just missed his location with that one.
And Elvis continues the merry-go-round. He hits one into the gap. He's going for 2. And the throw will not be there in time. Elvis with a double.
Well, with the exception of Adrian's blooper, all these balls are hit hard. Mitch got a pitch and just ripped it. Elvis comes up. Watch it. That ball almost, I think it did go into the concourse. Even Adrian was impressed with that one. But Elvis has that hard double to left center field. He just missed a triple his first time up. A ball that Calhoun laid out and made a spectacular play down the right field line.
Well, Rangers with 6 across. Still only 1 out in the 3rd inning, and Matt Shoemaker will not see the rest of the inning, at least from the mound. He is gone, and a pitching change underway here at Globe Life Park. Rangers doing some damage, leading 7-0. We're back right after this. Chance to take advantage of $10 Tuesdays. Tickets for the White Sox Ranger game are just $10, and you can add on a $10 meal deal when purchasing online. Plus, all fans on Tuesdays receive $10 parking. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to secure your $10 Tuesday tickets for May 10th. Well, Jose Alvarez probably begrudgingly came into the mess here with 1 on and 1 out. And 6 across for the Rangers. Alvarez, 26-year-old left-hander. He has been much used out of the bullpen. This is his 12th game already. 11 in the 3rd innings. Facing Brett Nicholas. And Nicholas down on the count now. No balls and 2 strikes.
The Rangers came into the game batting .301 with men in scoring position. And after the 3rd inning, it's gone up a little bit. They were 2nd in the league. Baltimore was at .327.
One ball, 2 strikes. Take a look at nice Ford leaderboard. 5+ run innings. The Rangers have had a bunch of them. How about half a dozen? They've doubled the output of Baltimore. He has 3 of them. 5 teams with a couple, but 6 innings of 5 or more runs for the Rangers this year.
That's just 1 month.
Yeah, we're not quite through April. We will be at the end of this ball game. But Rangers have an opportunity to add on more. This is only the 3rd inning.
Oh, Mitch has had his third straight multi-hit game. No, only has one hit today. Flied out his first time. I'm sorry about that. But definitely starting to swing the bat the way he wants to swing the bat. Look at this.
Roller that's going to beat the shift. Simmons comes up with it to hold Andrews at third. Brett Nicholas, I wasn't sure if that was going to get to the outfield grass or not, but Brett's going to take it. That's hitting against the shift right there. Beating the shift.
I'm glad they're playing the shift on me. Get jammed to get a base hit. Almost ended up with an RBI on it.
He did.
Look how far Simmons has to. You see the jump that Simmons got on that ball to smother it. And he's ready to fire it. Did make an out on that play, but he probably saved a run by getting to it.
Another base hit with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, it is.
So that'll bring up Delino to Shields for his second at bat in this inning. He was the one that got the whole thing started with a line drive single to center. 1 ball, no strikes from Alvarez.
The Rangers have had 8 hits in this inning. The only out was Mazzara's 375-foot sacrifice fly that was hit very well to left center field.
One ball and 1 strike to Delino. Now the Shields talked about me moved down in the order, and nothing bad about Delino as far as Jeff Bannister was concerned. He just said, I just want to take a little pressure off him right now, and he'll be back up. He's much more valuable to us as the leadoff man when he gets his game back to where it was. He said right now he's just struggling the way guys do from time to time. But Jeff said, you know, with his, as Jeff puts it, his skill set of getting on base and scoring runs, he said that's the guy we need up at the top of the order for the long term. Nice to be able to have a guy like Odor you can go to when you need to give your other leadoff hitter a little bit of a break.
Yeah, you know, Odor's not bad in that position either, because he can make it a 1-0 game right off the bat. Adds that element of power in the leadoff spot. And really, when Delino's hitting ninth, he's hitting 1 ahead of Odor anyway.
Right.
So he was a leadoff hitter here in the 3rd inning. Got it started with a base hit.
Yeah, good breaking ball from Alvarez for the strikeout. There are 2 gone now, and back to Odor.
Second baseman, Odor.
Well, after a month now, they started keeping tabs on this thing, updating these statistics on a daily basis. Defensive shifts used this year, 7 teams that have used the shift most, all have losing records. And 10 of the 11 teams that shift the least, 500 records or better. Now, use that any way you want to.
Well, I would say this for all our friends out there watching who hate the new advanced metrics. That's music to their ears.
Yeah, there's validation for you.
You want to be a loser? Put the shifts on. I think there's a lot more goes into it than to draw that conclusion, but
yeah,
still, after a month, it's kind of an interesting stat.
The Rangers, by the way, are in that bottom group that don't shift that much, don't shift as much as some others. And they do have a better than 500 record, 13-10 as the play got underway tonight. You know, Odor had one there. I think he'd like to have that one back. It was right up where Ruge could drive it somewhere, and he just fouled it straight back. 0-1.
I thought it was interesting what Eric Josephson told us before the game about the shift. Joe Madden, when he was in Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay team shifted as much as anybody in baseball. This year, and now that he's with the Cubs, they shift among the least.
Well, there's a bullet right into the glove of Escobar, and that will do it. So the Rangers, even the outs were crushed. 6 runs in the inning. Mitch Moreland capped it off with his 3rd home run of the year. We'll go to the 4th here at Globe Life Park. It is all Rangers, 7-0 over the Angels. Start things off. Derek Holland now with a 7-0 lead. And the cold hard facts for you, brought to you by Coors Light. Crisp, clean Coors Light. Mike Trout, just one of 2 players. Major League history to win a Silver Slugger Award in each of his first four full Major League years. Mike Piazza, great catcher, the only other. 3 balls and a strike now. So Holland love to go out and get that leadoff man. He's going to have to come back from the 3-0 count. It's now 3-1. Trout flied to deep right field his first time up. And Holland came with a good fastball that got him on the fists.
Yeah, they're really not doing much with Derek's fastball. A lot of lazy fly balls so far in the game. A couple of them hit pretty well, though, right to the wall in right field.
Now Holland back with a payoff. Delino in a hurry, and he tracks it down. A good jump by DeShields.
It does.
And good closing speed.
And as far as Trout is concerned, he didn't center that ball, hit off the bad part of his bat, so it's going to hang up a little bit longer, not go quite as fast. You see Delino shading him a little bit in right center field. The ball's hit to left center field. A good look at Delino and his quickness getting over to make that play. Derek comes back and gets the leadoff hitter. Good job.
Now 1 gone. Here's Albert Pujols. It's a strike. Pujols ground ball to short. That ended the first inning. That really was the big scrape that Holland has been in so far. He gave up the leadoff double to Escobar. Got Trout on a long fly ball for the 2nd out, and then Pujols thrown out by Elvis Andrus on a play that Elvis made nicely. Derek able to work around that leadoff double, and that gave the Rangers a chance to come up in a scoreless ball game and take the lead in the bottom of the first. Our steel pitch tracker showing you number 2. That's not really where you want to pitch to Albert Pujols. 2-1, or 1-2, excuse me. Now 2-2. Pujols right in the middle of that 10-year contract that he signed with the Angels. The center field. Delino had to hold on for a second. Dives as he comes in. Did he catch it? Yes, he did.
Well, we've seen in April, we've seen a lot of diving catches, boy, by the Rangers, by other teams. The outfielders just continue to get more athletic out there. Delino had kind of the same jump that Calhoun had last night. A line shot hit right at you. You kind of hold your ground to make sure it's not going to go over your head. But then his quickness allowed him to make up for it. Watch the concentration as he comes in and takes it right off the ground.
Oh, a nice play, Delino. So that is out number 2. And again, the defense very solid behind Derek Holland tonight. Matter of fact, the defense has been solid for the Rangers the entire year.
Sure has.
Give you an example. The left side of the Ranger defense with Andrus and Beltre have committed 1 error, and that was opening day. Elvis had the throwing error on opening day. They have not had a miscue on the left side of the diamond. Elvis has been perfect since then. Beltre has had the most total chances by any third baseman in baseball, and he has played error-free. 2-0 pitch right into the shift. Calhoun hit it hard, but gobbled up by Odor. A 1-2-3 inning. Holland now has retired 7 straight. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning. It's the Rangers 7, the Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. 7-0. Had a little fishing tournament out in center field, the mascot weekend, and they were out there with their line and poles. That they were trout fishing. Even Mike Trout liked it.
He was laughing at it. That was pretty funny.
Still getting a little chuckle over it. Well, Nomar Mazara will start things off here in the Ranger fourth. Jose Alvarez, who finished off the third inning by getting the final 2 outs, fires strike 1 to Mazara. Nomar drove in the first run last inning with a long sacrifice fly. That got things going. So Mazara now with 7 RBI. A ball and a strike. Rangers 7 runs on 10 hits as we play in the bottom of the 4th inning. 1-2. Alvarez back to the plate. Slapped into left, a base hit. Well, again, the shift foiled, this time by Mazara. 1 on, nobody out. Adrian Beltre coming up. But first, we're going to check in with Jim Knock. Jim?
All right, Buzz, this is what you guys were talking about during the half-inning break right there. The mascots, that's right, mascot weekend. Doing a little fishing, a little trout fishing. Not bad. Mike Trout liked it in center field. He got a little chuckle over that. And I tell you what a great idea. These mascots went trout fishing. They got their poles. They got their life preservers, Tom, just in case someone fell in.
You never know.
These guys hit it up right. They got the Padre mascot, Red Legs. We got Rowdy. We got Victor E. Green. We got the FC Dallas mascot in the house. All right, and of course, Ranger captain. Good to have you with all your cast of characters. Great job, guys. You didn't hook anything, but hey, Rangers got the lead. That's good enough. Way to go, guys.
You know, that's like the perfect result from one of those crazy little skits. Is the player involved in it loves it and laughs.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't get any better than that.
That's right.
Trout's a good sport about it. He loved it. All in good fun.
2-0 the count to Beltre. Adrian 1 for 2, an RBI single. And that pitch floats outside. 3-0.
I'd like to see what the Rangers have hit into the shift in these 2 games. It seems like every ball they hit finds a hole that would have gone right at a traditionally placed infielder. Well, last night, Mitch's hit drove in a run.
No, Schiff not gonna defend that very well. Then ball 4, 2 aboard with nobody out for Prince Fielder.
But Nicholas had a ball hit right to shortstop for a base hit. Nomar's ball was right at shortstop. Prince had one last night that was hit right to the second baseman, except it went into the outfield because of the shift.
Well, here's Prince. 2 for 2 tonight. A single and a double, an RBI, a run scored. I think that was Prince that yelled, wasn't it?
I don't blame him.
Fastball right in there under his beard. Yeah. Well, it's easy for me to laugh, I guess. I'm not having 95 under my chin.
You used to throw him and laugh.
No, I never did.
No, I know you didn't. I bet you were laughing under your breath a couple times, though.
If I jammed somebody real good, I'd snicker maybe a little bit, but nobody would see me. No, that's tough duty up there, guy. Tell you the worst part, you get a young pitcher, and you guys have to hit against that. Had no clue where it was going.
Yeah.
And kind of late in the ball game, and the game's out of hand, and this kid's out there is trying to make a team.
Yeah, that was no fun. That was like facing a minor league guy with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that was wild in spring training batting practice. You know, where you had no adrenaline flowing, you're just relaxed, and then you come in and you got to face this, and you almost say to yourself, I think I'm going to put myself in a slump if I try to face this guy. I think I'll just try to skip my turn so I don't have to break a couple of bats, get jammed a few times, and end up thinking I can't hit anymore.
Prince got sawed off and pulls it foul. That reminds me of the story. Lou Piniella is one of the greatest teammates that you could ever have. I remember in spring training a situation just like that. And it was my second year, I think, with the ball team. And Lou, God bless him, he'd had enough. He had that situation. A guy came up from the minor leagues, threw the ball all over the place. So he asked him to throw change-ups to him.
I want to work on hitting change-ups.
And the kid hit him with the change-up.
Well,
Lou walked out of the batting cage.
At least it didn't hurt as much.
Yeah. Moving on over is Mazzara on the fly ball. That's first and third now with one out. Ian Desmond coming up. Let's check in with Emily Jones.
Well, you guys have talked about Ian Desmond and his quality play of late. He credits that 3-day layoff that he had, and here's what he said he did during that time.
I was an everyday player, someone that, I mean, I played over the last few years 150 plus games a year, and that doesn't really give you a whole lot of time to sit around and make adjustments. But 3 days off consecutive, that allowed me some time to sit there and digest some video and identify some things that I was doing a little differently back then, and try to implement those in the games coming forward, and it's been working, so stick with it.
And in the very next breath, he said, now don't get me wrong, I don't ever want another day off again, but those 3 days off that I had in a row did me a lot of good, guys.
Yeah, he loops one into right center field. Trout in a hurry, and he makes the catch on the run. And that not deep enough to score anybody. Beltre now, as the throw gets away, is going to move into second. But staying at third is Mazzara, and there are 2 outs.
And Trout thought that Mike Scioscia was the catcher. That ball was way up the line. That's a ball when it's all over and done with. You say, man, why didn't he go? He could have scored. But you don't know the ball is going to go there when you have to make that decision. You're assuming an accurate throw to the plate, and if you do go, you're going to be an easy out because he's in short right field. Just so happened that the ball was way offline and he could have scored. Fortunately, the coach doesn't know that. Almost went in the dugout.
It did, yeah. Almost got in there. So 2 outs now, second and third are your runners. Mitch Moreland pulls one into the shift. Pujols to Alvarez, and that'll do it. Rangers get a couple aboard to start the inning, but Strandham will go to the 5th inning here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. The Rangers 7, the Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. Derek Holland back out to the hill. He's retired the last 7 Angels he's faced, and Andrelton Simmons takes strike 1 to start off the 5th inning. Simmons flied to right field his first time up. That is out of play, and very quickly Derek Holland in front of the count. No balls and 2 strikes.
Derek's working on a pretty impressive pitch count so far. Only thrown 45 pitches here in the start the 5th inning.
So Derek, for all of you who say, well, it's probably pretty tough to pitch with a big lead, I think Derek's making a mockery out of that. He said, fine, just give me 7. I'll figure out something.
You know, you hear so much about pitching to contact, pitching coaches talking about that. I think the Rangers are starting to demonstrate that. Last night, Colby Lewis pitched 7 innings, no walks, no strikeouts. Derek Holland has now pitched 4 innings, no walks, no strikeouts. So the starting pitchers in the last 11 innings have not walked anybody, have not struck out anybody. So I guess that is the definition of pitching to contact.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
They've had good lines too. 2 runs last night against Colby in 7 innings. So far, no runs against Derek. I guess the key is pitch to contact, but make sure it's fairly weak contact.
Yeah, sometimes that's the difficult part of it.
And guys, Colby Lewis after the game wanted to know, he said, this is you guys' department, when was the last time I didn't have a strikeout? And T.R. Sullivan from MLB.com piped up and said it was 2011 against Oakland, and it was a great game from you then too. So T.R. was ready with that information, and Colby was interested in it.
Wow, I would not have thought that. I would have thought that was the first time for it.
You know, Andrelton Simmons had a breaking ball that he popped through the hole for a single. Yeah, last night, as a matter of fact, the first time this year the Rangers have not walked a hitter in a game. I would have thought it would have happened before, considering they've had a few all-around well-pitched games, but no, last night was the first.
Well, the Rangers still have that streak for their starting pitchers pitching at least 5 innings in a game. And also compared to the rest of the league, they're in the top 5 in innings pitched. So compared to the rest of the league, they're pitching fairly deep into ball games. And one thing they haven't had happen is a starter get bombed and knocked out early in a ball game.
Yep. And boy, that's important for the bullpen.
Sure is.
1 on, nobody out for C.J. Cron. Cron robbed of a home run by Nomar Mazara his first time up. That was with the bases empty in the 2nd inning at 2 outs, and hit a deep drive to right that Mazara went up over the wall and caught the ball in the glove, but as he hit the wall with his arm, it kind of slingshotted the ball out of the glove. Ended up being a triple. There's a good off-speed pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The totals for Holland: 34 strikes, 18 balls tonight in 52 pitches. Look out.
Oh boy, I hope he didn't. It's just, when you see a batter do that, it's not generally a good sign.
C.J. Cron looking to see if he can tell if anybody up there was.
I don't even like to look in the stands on those.
No, it's
happened so much in the last couple of years. Major League Baseball has begun to make an effort to keep that from happening. They've extended the netting over the dugouts, and that helps, but obviously it does not eliminate the problem.
No, and kudos to the Rangers and everybody else that have extended the nets and netting and made it as safe as possible. But there's no way to protect everybody when you're sitting in the stands, especially the lower section of seats. You can't put a net over everybody.
No, you can't. And it's dangerous in batting practice.
Sure.
When people aren't paying any attention, those balls shoot into the stands.
Now 1-2 the count to Cron. Got him swinging. And there's a strikeout for Derek Holland. That's his first of the night.
I think they
foul
said,
tip, I'm sorry.
I don't think it hit the dirt. I thought it hit his glove and popped up out of his glove.
Jeff Bannister asking Lance Barrett, the home plate umpire, for clarification. He said hit the dirt.
Oh, definitely hit the dirt. Hit his glove too, but good call.
No, Derek will have to go one more if he's going to get his first strikeout.
Good try.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Holland, a check of Simmons at first. And got that fastball in again. It's one thing that Derek Holland has done pretty well this year. He's been able to run that fastball in on right-handers. A little cutting action. He's been able to keep it in there. There's not a great margin of error. There's a little more margin of error, I think, when you're going down and away. But Holland successful getting the ball either on the edge or inside. Left that one just a little bit tall, and it's 3-2. Crone, the 7th hitter in the order, batting with 1 on and nobody out. Carlos Perez, the number 8 hitter, is in the on-deck circle. Andrelton Simmons getting his lead from first. To center field. Delino coming on and slides for the catch. Boy, he got another great jump on that ball coming in. Got a good read off the bat.
The Angels are having a hard time making the ball hit the grass anywhere in the outfield. Second nice play by Delino in center field. This time he gets a great jump, kind of catches it off to the side, slides because he's comfortable sliding. And didn't have much of a problem with that one.
1 away. Now Carlos Perez will come up. Perez flied out to center field, his first time. On the inside corner from Holland, strike 1. Perez, a 157 average currently. Pulled the string. Perez out in front. It's now no balls and 2 strikes. Derek trying to follow up a start against the Angels. You got a no decision in 5 innings of work. This one popped up shallow right. Trio of Rangers in pursuit, and it's Nomar Mazara. That is out number 2. Well, Perez retired. Rafael Ortega will be back. And while we have a second here, we'd like to remind you the Rangers play the Toronto Blue Jays on Saturday. That's May 14th. First 15,000 fans in the ballpark get a Rougned Odor bobblehead, courtesy of Dr. Pepper Kroger. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS to purchase your tickets today, and make sure you wear your red out the ballpark. Ortega out on a nice play, his first time up by Mitch Moreland. A 1-hop smash down the line, and Mitch able to glove it, step on the bag for the out. 2-0. Angels went out and got Ortega. Really a career minor leaguer. He hadn't had any big league action since back in 2012. Angels decided to give him a shot. He'd had some good numbers in the minor leagues lately, and he's played a pretty good left field for him. A 33-year-old veteran. He had 9 minor league years under his belt. Two balls and a strike to him. That kind of pitch will get you talking to yourself. Just missed the outside corner. Derek now at 22 pitches in the inning. And he got that one for a strike. It's 3-2.
That actually was a little bit closer to the strike zone. The first one was borderline, almost touching it. That one just nicked the top of the strike zone. Pretty tough to differentiate those two pitches, but the right one got called a strike. That's Barrett, the home plate umpire tonight.
Our Steel pitch tracker showing you those spots. That is chopped foul past the Ranger dugout. So Simmons will retreat to first, and count remains full. Junel Escobar is the on-deck hitter. He's hoping to get an at-bat here in the 5th inning. Out of play to the left. Ortega foiling some fairly good pitches by Holland. Three and two with 2 out. And that one chopped foul outside first once again. As I was saying, Derek faced the Angels, but only lasted 5 innings in that Ranger loss. Derek got the no decision, but he was not happy with the way he threw. He had 92 pitches in 5 innings. And said his command really was very spotty, and that's one thing that he's been working on diligently. Up the middle, that is a base hit. Simmons will continue on around second and motor into third. So the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Rafael Ortega. And Ortega able to capitalize with a base hit to center. Now runners at the corners for Junel Escobar.
That's some pretty nice agility by Ramon De Jesus, the second base umpire. That ball was smoked. It went right between his legs. Watch him. Looked like Adrian Beltre getting out of the way.
And Doug Brocail out there just to help Derek regroup after that 9-pitch at bat.
First long inning as far as pitches goes, but he's only faced 4 hitters. But they've seen a lot of pitches.
The 1st and 3rd, Escobar at the plate. Doubled his first time up. Last time up, grounded to short. Rangers leading 7-0. Holland with the first pitch. Got that call on the inside corner. Again, our Steel pitch tracker showing that by the letter of the law might have been a bit inside. Down the right field line, but that's going to slice and go foul. No, 0-2 as Escobar makes his way back to the batter's box. First time tonight, the Angels have had 2 runners aboard in the same inning. So, Escobar, a marked difference between his success against left-handers and right-handers. And a lazy fly ball to right. That should take care of it. Nomar Mazara does the honors, and that'll do it. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. We played half the ball game here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. The Rangers 7 and the Angels 0.
top of the Angels by a score of 7-0. University Days continue here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. This is the hat that you can find May 14th for OSU night here at Globe Life Park. The first 2,500 fans who buy a ticket, a special ticket, online at texasrangers.com/OSU, then bring that ticket to a special kiosk here at the ballpark. We'll get one of these snazzy orange OSU hats. Again, that's May 14th. Go to texasrangers.com/OSU to get your ticket, guys.
All right, and thank you. Well, we head to the bottom of the 5th inning, and Mike Morin, hard-throwing right-hander, has come out of the Angels bullpen to take over. He's a third pitcher that Mike Scioscia has used tonight. And Morin starting off with a breaking ball to Elvis. Morin appearing in his 13th ball game. This bullpen very heavily used for the Angels. 242 opponents batting average against. And very quickly, Elvis down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Morin has not allowed a base runner in his last 5 outings. It covers 3 2/3 innings. A 24-year-old right-hander from the Kansas City area. Escobar across the diamond for out number 1. And before Brett Nicholas comes up, let's send it over to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Brett Nicholas 1 out of 2 this evening. There's that changeup from Morin.
That's a slow changeup. Brett could have swung twice at that ball.
He's trying to process that right now. I said, what in the world was that?
Well, Brett's got a couple of hits, got an infield hit, base hit in the 3rd inning. That big inning.
Another changeup right off the end of the bat. That is out number 2. Well, let's take a look at our Kubota power stats tonight going around the American League. How about Jordan Zimmerman? Tigers brought him in to shore up a flagging rotation, and boy has he. 7 innings of work today against Minnesota, 1 earned run, and that raised his ERA to a season worst 0.55, but consider that worst. That's the lowest among major league starters. 0.55. Zimmerman 5-0 in the month of April. I think that's a pretty good return on the Tigers' investment.
Yeah, they paid a lot of money, but they're getting their money's worth.
Delino to Shields up there, 1 out of 2 tonight. Delino thought he had that time pretty well. That pitch floating in about shoulder high. Couldn't get on top of it. No balls, 2 strikes. Delino a single and a run scored in that 3rd inning. Popped up Giovotella and Pujols. It's Pujols near the commissioner's box down there. Makes the catch. And the Rangers are retired in order for only the 2nd time tonight. Now we finished 5 innings. It remains the Rangers 7, the Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
And welcome back to Globe Life Park. Buzz and Tom, a lot of radio affiliates were on the Fox Sports Fan Express earlier this afternoon, and they're, of course, here at the game. 80 radio affiliates on hand. That's some of the biggest in the country as far as a major league team. Mark owns a radio station in Minden, Louisiana. You guys had quite a day. It started early this afternoon.
Yeah, we took part in some batting practice, which for some of us was good. Some of us were out of shape as our swing. I'll say that. That'd be nice. But shagged some flies in the outfield, interviewed some former players and some of the Ranger Ranger personnel. So whirlwind day. Came up here, watched the Rangers take BP, and up here in the box tonight to enjoy the game.
There we go. You got to see some of the Ranger players, talk to them. Also got up in the booth with Eric and those guys. Huh?
Yeah, they did a drawing. A couple of guys from the radio affiliates could go up during one of the innings. So we went up in the 6-run third inning and got to witness that from the radio booth. So kind of a neat experience there.
All right, Mark, glad you guys had a good time. Of course, you're enjoying this game. It pays to be a radio affiliate, huh? Right here with the Rangers, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're happy to be with the Rangers. Been with them going on 16 years now for us, so we're big fans.
I appreciate it. Delano, yes, makes the catch in center. Great job, Mark. Appreciate it. Good seeing you. Have the fun the rest of the way.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Buzz.
All right, Noxie, thank you. That was Johnny Giovatelli skying out to Delino DeShields in center. One out here in the 6th. And Mike Trout will come up. Mike Trout tonight has flied to deep right, and he has flied to center. Derek Holland, a lot of fly balls tonight. Not nearly as many ground balls. He only had, 2 ground ball outs tonight. 1 ball and no strikes to Trout. And a ground out off Pujols in the first inning. And then a ground out from Escobar in the 3rd. He had 1 more. I take it back. Cole Calhoun grounded out. So 3 outs out of the 16 outs. A ball and a strike to Trout. One and 2 on the foul ball. You're seeing a little bit of frustration in Trout's face.
That location is generally a location he doesn't miss very often. I think he was frustrated that he fouled that pitch off.
And Holland came in the pitch off the plate inside that time. Still a ball and 2 strikes. And Derek now just over the 80 pitch mark at 81. 55 strikes and 26 balls. Two and 2. Corey Rasmus, who we saw last night, getting loose in the Angel pen. And ball 3 is down in the dirt. So with 1 out, Holland working to Trout. Albert Pujols is in the on-deck circle. Payoff pitch. Call strike 3. Trout had to look out over the plate, and he has something to say to Lance Barrett as he walks back to the Angel dugout. And there is the first strikeout of the night for Derek Holland.
That was at least 3 fastballs that Derek threw on the inside part of the plate. Just barely off the plate. Got the call with pitch number 7. Pitches 1 and 2 are just touching the strike zone, right where he wanted to throw it. Starts Pujols off with a curveball for strike 1. Albert, a ground ball to short, and a sinking line drive to center that Delino DeShields made a great diving catch of. A lot of head shaking by some Angel hitters tonight against Holland. Derek has him pretty well flummoxed. Got him swing up, foul tip. Well, I don't know how he fouled it off.
I don't
either. It was a foot low.
Somehow he reached for it and ticked it.
Just barely, huh?
That's one, even with replay, you can't really see it. Unless you see the ball change direction.
A ball and 2 strikes to Pujols. Angels have been shut out on just 4 hits by Derek Holland tonight. Knocked a few of the Angels off their perch in that front rail. Still 1-2. I always found that kind of amusing. You put that screen in there to protect guys in the dugout, and all they did was go stand or sit on top of it. And what good's the screen doing?
Protects their feet and their knees.
Oh, okay. This one popped up. Mitch Moreland through the coach's box has a play, and that'll do it. A 1-2-3 frame. Derek Holland cruising along. He's gone through 6. And after 5.5, it's still the Rangers leading the Angels 7-0 on Fox Sports Southwest. It's time now for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $2,000 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Michael Muhlenborn from Flower Mound will win $2,000. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during this inning, Michael is going to take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Michael, I kind of like your chances here in this 6th inning. You got Rougned Odor, Nomar Mazara, Adrian Beltre facing a new pitcher in Corey Rasmus. Saw Rasmus appear in last night's ball game. And the first pitch to Odor, who is 2 for 3 tonight, is high for ball 1. Odor, a couple of doubles. One right down the right field line, one right down the left field line. Second one was so close to the line, it had to be verified by replay. Pulls that one just foul. Jeff Bannister and his crew challenged that successfully. And the video review of Jeff's challenge said, yep, that ball hit the chalk. That was back in the 3rd inning. And important that at the time there was nobody out and 1 on in that 3rd inning. And that got the Rangers really going with that 6-run outburst. A ball and a strike from Rasmus. Rasmus last night worked the 8th inning, gave up a walk, but then got a double play. Slicing line drive to left center. Trout can't get there, and it's by him. Backed up by Ortega, and the 3rd double of the night for Rougned Odor.
Yeah, Buzz, he almost had 4 doubles. The out he made, the last out of the 3rd inning, was a line shot right at Escobar at 3rd base. If it was about 2 feet higher, that would have gone down the left field line for a double as well. You see that ball slicing off his bat into left center field. Trout can't get it. No one was going to get it.
So Odor has doubled for the cycle tonight. 1 to right, 1 to left, 1 to center.
There you go.
Here's Mazara, who singled his last time to the plate. Also had a sacrifice fly. Nomar 1 out of 2, the average at .344. And again, the Angels go into the shift as Rasmus misses inside. Mazara twice now, the last 2 times up, has gone that way. Once a long fly ball for the sacrifice fly. The last time he slapped one right to the shortstop, normal shortstop position, and it went to left field for a base hit.
I think he's had 3 hits so far this year, which have been ground balls right straight to shortstop.
Yeah.
He does not seem to be someone who's been at any disadvantage with a shift. If anything, it's helped him.
And it still puzzles me how after just 15 or 16 games you feel like you have a book on Mazara that you can shift that drastically.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are numbers to back up what Mike Scioscia's team's doing. Two balls and a strike to count. Going that way again. This one hit pretty well. Going back, Ortega, he stops right on the edge of the warning track. Tagging at second, moving over to third is Odor under the tag, just barely. I was waiting to see what the call was going to be. And right on top of that, the second base umpire, Ramon De Jesus, had to run over there to make that call. And Odor just got on. Here's what you're going to see.
Went to tag his right arm, and Rougned said, nope, I'm going to tag base with my left arm. Keeps one arm on the base at all times. And the second time, Mazara's launched a long fly ball to left. That's allowed the runner Rougned to get to third base from second base. So Nomar would be having a pretty good night if he was playing in Fenway Park.
That is a deceptive slide. I like that. No, Odor gets himself to third now with one out. Adrian Beltre, who is 1 for 2 with an RBI single. Infield pulled all the way in for the Angels. They already trail 7-0, and Mike Scioscia trying to cut down any further damage. A ball and a strike. Adrian singled in the second run of that 6-run outburst.
The fans just saw the slide. That's what they're reacting to. Rougned taking that right arm away and jutting his left arm out to get the bag.
We'll sync those up for you so you see them in the same time frame. Yeah, right arm says, here, go ahead and tag this up. No, it's not there. Two and one to Beltre. 2-2. Good look at the infield, pulled all the way in. Adrian in a similar situation with the infield in the third inning. Dumped a base hit to left field. Saw the numbers for Beltre in his career against the Angels. He has set all-time highs for himself. Simmons has a ball go off and he goes right to Giovanella. They throw back to third and Odor's safe. Beltre aboard.
All I can say is, based on Simmons' reputation, if he can't catch it, it must be a base hit. pretty jazzy base running, lure the throw to keep any play from being made at first base. You'd still have a man on first base and only one out. Rugned might have been out at third if it was a perfect throw, but he takes off after he sees the ball hit Simmons. Whoops, I can't score, I better get back. The throw goes to third instead of first, and no one's out.
That's going to be a rule and error on Andrelton Simmons, having the ball go off his chest. Part of the problem playing in, like, you can't get the best hop as you can playing back further. Now Prince Fielder trying to capitalize, bring some runs home here. Prince 2 for 3 tonight, an RBI back in the first inning. That slow curveball stayed outside. Rasmus in last night's ball game faced Fielder in that 8th inning and got him to foul out to Escobar, the third baseman. 1-1. Good pitch in on inside to Fielder, and he fought about foul. A ball and 2 strikes. Five for 15 tonight. Well, they've had people in scoring position.
Most of those 5 came in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, that's right.
They've had some chances since then to score.
Got him swinging. Prince expanding the zone and couldn't quite make contact up there. That's out number 2. Looked like an at bat where Prince so keyed in on getting the ball to the outfield, getting that run home, that he just expanded the strike zone a little too much. Now with 2 outs now, it's up to Ian Desmond. 1 ball, no strikes. Desmond a single in 3 trips. His base hit right in the middle of 7 consecutive hits by the Rangers in that 3rd inning. A ball and a strike. Desmond, despite having a down year, hitting just .233 last year with the Nationals, still kept his RBI total up to 62. Even though that was below what he was accustomed to doing, he was still representative of a guy that hits in the middle of the order. Home run total dropped to 19, the first time in 4 years that he'd been below 20. Down in the count here to Rasmus, and a ball and 2 strikes. Rangers have Odor over at third, Beltre at first. Corey Rasmus ready to work. Rasmus, of course, the younger brother of Colby Rasmus, outfielder with the Houston Astros. When the Astros, talking about Houston, off to a terrible start. They were shut out today by Oakland, their 17th loss of the year.
7-17. We were 8-16 last year.
Yeah.
They're 7-16 this year. Well, they can always say, look what the Rangers did last year.
Exactly. Tom Wilhelmsen out in the Ranger pen, looks to be ready. It may mean that Derek Holland's night has come to a close.
You know, it went from earlier in the season, Buzz, where everyone's thinking, boy, we need the starter to go 7 innings tonight. The bullpen's gassed. To now, we really don't care how long the starter goes. We're going to have to take him out to give the bullpen some work. Just to keep the guys sharp out there. Last night, Kobe easily could have gone deeper into the game, and if this is it for Derek, he could too, but it's a team effort. You got to make sure all your guys stay sharp.
And Desmond gone as Rasmus gets the breaking ball over. No, the Rangers leave him at first and third. They get no runs on a hit and an error. 2 left. We're going to the 7th. Rangers by 7 over the Angels. Game summary tonight has been all Rangers. First inning, Chris Fielder drives in his 17th run of the year, bringing home Odor. It is 1-0 Rangers at that point. And then, in the third, the floodgates open. Ian Desmond a single. One of 8 hits in that frame. The Rangers bust loose for 6 runs, capped off by Mitch Moreland's 3rd home run of 2016. A 3-run blast. The Rangers have made that stand up as they lead 7-0. We go to the 7th inning, and Tom Wilhelmsen has come out of the Ranger pen to take over. Last time we saw Tom was 5 days ago against the Yankees. Worked a 1-2-3 inning against the Bronx Bombers. 9th outing of the year. And ERA still unsightly, but coming down. That's the important thing. Tom getting things back together after 2 really rough outings early in the year, and that got that ERA just all out of whack. Cole Calhoun, Andrelton Simmons, and C.J. Cron, the first 3 Angels that Tom Wilhelmsen will deal with. Derek Holland, 6 innings of shutout baseball tonight, just 4 hits, no walks, 1 strikeout for the left-hander. 1 ball and a strike to Calhoun. Cole Calhoun 0 for 2 tonight. He is in a pretty good downturn. He was just 2 for 21 on the just completed homestand for the Angels. Snapped an 0 for 15 streak last night with a base hit. That's all he's had. Tom Wilhelmsen, the 32-year-old right-hander, 6'6", 220-pound Tom Wilhelmsen. 1-2 the count. 95 and just off the edge. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rangers tonight 7 runs on a dozen hits. Angels nothing on 4 hits. Brett Nicholas wants that changeup. Wilhelmsen obliges. Cut off in the gap, and it gets by Delino. It's going to roll to the wall. Calhoun not stopping at second. He's headed for third. And he'll be in there to lead off the 7th inning.
A well-hit ball by Calhoun. Delino did everything he could to try to cut that ball off. I don't know he's going to be able to hold him to a single anyway. Calhoun takes a ball on the outside corner, tailing away from him, and rips it into the gap. Hit so hard, Delino can't quite stop it. Goes right off the fingers of his glove for a triple.
So Calhoun with his first hit of the night. He is at third. Anderson Simmons at the plate. Rangers leading by 7. Will play the infield back. Oh and 1. Simmons 1 for 2. Had a single to left his last time up. Tapper right back to Wilhelmsen. He looks Calhoun back to third. 1 gone.
That's where swinging at pitches out of the strike zone and making contact really is not a great attribute. Not much you can do on that pitch. If you make contact and keep it fair, you're better off swinging and missing at it. You keep it fair, that's about how hard you're going to hit it. Slider way out of the strike zone, but you know, some guys have that. There we go. He's no Kurt Bavacqua. Kurt Bavacqua way back. Let's try it again.
And this time, now Beltre is going to get him in the rundown. Tough play back there, but they got it.
That is not necessarily the way you do the rundown play. But it worked.
But it was effective, right?
It worked.
So 1-5-2-5. And the out at third with Crone going all the way to second.
Ideally, Tom, he does the right thing, runs at him, throws the ball too soon. Just keep running at him, and eventually, if he doesn't do anything, tag him, make him commit, and then one throw and you get him. But when you throw it early like that, you give the base runner time to make some moves.
So 2 away. Thrown at second. And Carlos Perez, who has flied out twice tonight, is the hitter. A little bit inside. 2-0. Yeah, and the further away we get from spring training, the more we're going to see run downs and things like that messed up. You just get out of the habit of doing it every day and get in a game situation, and it's not quite the same reaction.
No.
Skimmer. Odor recovers in time to throw out Carlos Perez, and that'll do it. So a couple of comebackers. Nice job by Wilhelmsen to work around the leadoff triple. Stretch time here in Arlington. 7-0 Rangers. Let's join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and direct your attention now to the area behind home plate. And please welcome State Trooper Cherie Rue, joined by Sergeant Virgil Verduzco. In honor of the servicemen and women stationed at home and around the world, they will now perform God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with foam. God
Packs offer you a great bargain out here at Grove Life Park. You get savings of up to 50% on tickets and food, and Kids Zones access also at discounts along with souvenir programs and Coke soft drinks. Family pack, it's a great neat way to catch a game, especially with the Rangers playing the Angels tomorrow. Final game of this series. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to get your Coca-Cola family packs. Bottom of the 7th inning, Mitch Moreland leading things off. How about our AT&T high-speed internet replay for you? Talk about high speed. That got out of here at high speed. A vapor trail left from that one. Mitch Moreland, his 3rd home run of the year, and that capped off a 6-run 3rd for the Rangers. Mitch getting a couple of changeups from Rasmus.
Very well located, too, right at the bottom of the strike zone.
Mitch, along with a home run, has flied to center and grounded to first. Rangers really haven't done much since that 6-run outburst. But the pitching, Holland and Wilhelmsen last inning, made it stand up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And we'll reload it, try it again. Tony Barnett loosening in that Ranger bullpen. And as you said, Tom, trying to find spots for the relievers to work. You get everybody at least an inning, or the last 3 guys anyway.
It's been a while since Tom Wilhelmsen had pitched. He needed to get some work. Got to keep those guys sharp for when the games are close and you have to have it.
Full count pitch coming. Got him swinging. Up and away, and Mitch becomes the 3rd strikeout victim for Corey Rasmus. 1 away. Elvis Andrus now coming up. And before Elvis steps in, let's send it over to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break. Thank you, Aaron. Elvis takes a Rasmus pitch right at the bottom of the zone. Elvis tonight a double in 3 trips. Also robbed of at least a double by a diving catch Cole Calhoun in right field. That was back in the second inning. Elvis right at where he began the night, hitting at .333. Two and one. Rasmus, the fourth pitcher used by Mike Scioscia this evening. Matt Shoemaker, a rough outing. His first tough outing on the road this year. Only went 2 1/3 innings. Gave up all 7 runs on 9 hits. Rangers put 8 hits together in that third inning for a 3 spot. That was a little looper that Giovatello will handle. 2 gone. Now Brett Nicholas coming up. Going to be an interesting matchup here tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock first pitch, 2:05 first pitch. Cole Hamels and Garrett Richards. 2 top pitchers on their respective ball clubs. Garrett Richards not off to a great start, but with his stuff, he can put it together at virtually any time. Of course, Cole Hamels, 10 consecutive winning decisions for Cole. Rangers have won 14 straight starts that Hamels has made. Two balls, no strikes. Nicholas had an infield single in that third inning. 1 out of 3 this evening, hitting at .250. Rasmus back to him. 3 balls and a strike. One thing the Angels haven't done as a staff tonight is walk many, and they've walked 1. That's been it. Rangers have just grouped all their hits together. Ortega moving toward the line, and that'll do it. So Rasmus works a 1-2-3 7th inning. We're going to move on to inning number 8 here at Globe Life Park. It's still the Rangers 7 and the Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
Park Times, a progressive fan of the game, and Buzz and Tom, always good to see Sister Frances back for another season. Look at this, guys, 89 years young. She continues to knock that drum around. Let's hear it, Sister Frances. There we go, getting the fans charged up. Sister Frances, great to see you. Here's the bag, here's a shirt. Enjoy the rest of the game. Anything you'd like to say, anything.
I love my Rangers.
All right, Sister Frances, we love seeing you. Keep on knocking that drum around. Appreciate it.
I will. God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you. Thank you, Sister Frances. Buzz.
All right, Noxie.
Sister Frances still coming out to the ball games. We lost Sister Maggie, who was her partner at the ball games. Two great Ranger fans. Sat with them in Yankee Stadium the first time the Rangers made the playoffs. Tom Schieffer invited them to go to New York and sit in the Ranger section. Were Ranger fans for a long time, and now Sister Frances is still carrying on the tradition.
Tony Barnett has taken over now for the Rangers as we head to the 8th inning. And his first pitch to Rafael Ortega is inside and low for ball 1. Barnett, the third pitcher now used this evening, getting some work in along with Tom Wilhelmsen, who worked the 7th inning. Tony heating it up upstairs a bit. And Tony Barnett getting himself together very effectively, getting his feet on the ground, so to speak, at the major league level. He had pitched for 6 years over in Japan. Became one of the top closers in the Japanese league, and had never pitched at the major league level over here, despite starting out with the Diamondbacks. That ball's driven to right field. Mazzara back right in front of the bullpen. We're out number 1.
Well, Mazzara gets a good jump on the ball, glides after the ball. He may not have that elite speed, but he always seems to be where the ball is. If it takes a dive, he'll make it. And if it's up against the wall, he'll get back and jump over the wall, bring it back. He's doing a nice job all around.
Yeah, from what we've seen, Tom, I'm pretty sure you agree with me that he's a pretty complete package.
Yep, I agree.
For a guy that just turned 21.
Very confident the way he plays.
Yeah.
Relaxed and confident.
Here's, Escobar. 0-1. Escobar tonight doubled to start things off, and I guess as a sign of things to come, was left stranded at third base by the Angels in the first inning. Derek Holland did a very good job of working around that leadoff double. Oh, 0-1 the count. 0-2. And Tony Barnett really perfecting his 4-pitch attack. 4 different pitches. Saw a sinker and a cutter. He will throw a split finger pitch and a breaking ball. And he has the ability to go after hitters with that 4-pitch combo. Pretty effective late in the ball game. Up the middle into center field, and Escobar has his second hit of the night. Well, for the Angels, their 6th hit of the evening. 1 on, 1 out. Johnny Giovatelli coming up. Giovatelli has lined to second, fly to right, fly to center. Hitting 185. Giovatelli, another guy that had given the Rangers all kinds of fits. Hitting over 300 against them. 310 to be exact last year. That cut fastball sails outside for ball 1. Murmurings around the Angel camp, though, last year that Giovatelli brought in the camp last year to be the replacement for Howie Kendrick, and the Angels felt they were going to get that done, and Vitello, for one reason or another, part of it injury, and part of it just the way things worked out. Folks bemoaning that Howie Kendrick had been a better choice, and it hurt doubly that he was playing right up the other side of Los Angeles with the Dodgers, having a pretty productive year. A little bit low, 2-1. Of course, I guess when the ball club's not playing well, or where the Angels kind of finished off the year, that everything that could possibly be picked apart is picked apart and magnified.
Yeah, and they might not have wanted to pay Howie Kendrick $10 million. Good slider.
2-2. Yeah, and there was, as far as that money thing goes, there was a suggestion that they kind of boxed themselves in with some of the larger contracts that they've had too.
Yeah, they've got some contracts that, if you're a general manager, no, I guess if you're an owner, you're not too thrilled about paying.
Beltre to Odor.
That's
to
time.
Moreland. Around the horn, the 5-4-3. That is double play number 35, the most in baseball, turned by the Rangers. 7.5 in the books here in Arlington. Rangers leading 7-0.
Leading the Angels by a score of 7-0 as we head to the bottom of the 8th here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. This the second of 3 between these two teams. The Rangers will close out the 6-game homestand and this series against the Halos tomorrow afternoon. 2 o'clock first pitch here on Fox Sports Southwest. There you see the two guys taking the hill for their respective teams. Some very impressive numbers on both sides for Garrett Richards and Cole Hamels. You can see it right here on Fox Sports Southwest. A big thank you to the fine folks at AT High-Speed Internet for getting us ready for Game 3, the finale of this 3-game series between the Angels and the Rangers, guys.
All right, and thank you. We'll look forward to that. First things first, though. Rangers trying to close out this game tonight. And Delino DeShields swinging at the first pitch that he saw from Cam Bedrosian, the new Angel pitcher. And DeShields flies out to right, so he is 1 for 4. And that's how the 8th inning gets underway.
Yep.
And speaking of Delino DeShields, our Cricket Wireless, something to smile about, and a lot to smile about with Delino out there in center field. Well, some fantastic plays by the Rangers center fielder. In back, left, right. Delano getting it done in Cricket Wireless. Bringing you that and bringing smiles to all the pitchers' faces, I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, the defense, we've mentioned this several times. Counting the pregame show, the defense has been so good this year. Infield defense, talked about no team in baseball has turned more double plays. Guys with errorless streaks going, outfielders going over walls, diving for balls. If you're a Ranger pitcher, you certainly appreciate the guys playing behind you this year. They're doing a great job.
And Derek Holland would attest to that and say, yeah, I'm right there with him.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And you know, we talk about the differences between the start this year and the April of 2015, and we don't talk about that very much, but the defense is markedly better, and it's had a big impact this year on it.
Well, you look at Rubned at second base and Elvis at shortstop. Rubned was struggling last year, not just with the bat, but also defensively. Went down to the minor leagues, straightened it out, and the rest is history. But Elvis got off to a slow start defensively last year, had a bunch of errors early in the year. So both of those guys are definitely much more proficient defensively this year, early in the season, than they were last year.
Now quickly, 2 out here. And Bedrosian bumping a strike into Nomar Mazara.
Yeah, I can't even remember how Adrian was defensively at the beginning of the year last year. I'm sure it was fine, but there's no way he was any better last year than he has been this year.
Right, no.
He's been so good this year. He couldn't have been any better last year.
I remember he had a couple of throwing errors early, which were uncharacteristic. But part of that, too, he was a little bit hampered. He had some physical problems come out of spring training.
Yep, he's healthy now.
No, it's a nice turnaround. And it certainly is indicative of the way the Rangers have played overall. They've gotten things pretty well in line here in the early going. Call, strike 3. Bedrosian pounding the bottom of that strike zone at 95, and that'll do it. 3 up, 3 down. We're going to the 9th inning here at Globe Life Park. Derek Holland hoping they can close out a 7-0 lead.
Rangers just a half inning away from securing themselves a series win over the Angels here at Globe Life Park. In turn, taking a 4-game winning streak into May and into that finale tomorrow. We will get you set for that, plus bring you loads of reaction to this one coming your way on Rangers Live, the post-game edition. Pudge Rodriguez, Mark McLemore will join me, plus Noxie and M will help us out. Stick around after the game as we get it back to the 2 calling this one. Buzz, Tom.
All right, Aaron, thank you. It has been a slugfest for about the total of 30 minutes or so, however long the Rangers hit in the 3rd inning. They put 6 on the board, and since then they turned it over to the bullpen after Derek finished with his 6 innings of work. Now Phil Klein becomes the 3rd bullpen member to take the hill. Both Tom Wilhelmsen and Tony Barnett worked an inning, and now Phil Klein who has not been scored upon this year in 5 outings, will match up against Trout, Pujols, and Calhoun.
Yeah, Phil's been very impressive. His fastball has been effective. His changeup is a developing pitch that's been very good for him. Slider, everything's working well. Love that 1 inning he had where he struck out the side on 11 pitches, and all 3 swinging strikeouts came on pitches where the catcher put the glove up around the chin. He delivered a high fastball and the hitter chased it all 3 times. It shows he must be a little tough to pick up if you can get 3 hitters in a row to do that.
Mike Trout tonight 0 for 3. And Phil Klein jumping on top of the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Trout has flied out twice and struck out. Phil Klein 6 2/3 innings. 2 hits is all he has given up in his 5 previous outings. Last time we saw Phil was the first game of the Yankee series. Worked an inning and had a couple of strikeouts. Tried that same formula and couldn't get Trout to chase it.
No, a little too high maybe.
Out of play. Still 2-2. Well, Trout, as we look at the Angel order, one of the few that really is swinging the bat well, and normally even in an order that can be as tough to handle as the Angels, when you only have 1 or 2 guys swinging it well, it's tough to get anything sustained as far as offensive output. And the Angels come into play tonight hitting at .230, so I would tell you it's been a season-long issue, not just 1 or 2 games. Only have scored 78 runs. That's 12th in the American League. High and tight, and that fills the count. Trout hitting third, to be followed by the first baseman, Albert Pujols. Call strike 3. Second straight time that Mike Trout has been called out on strikes, and again the quizzical look from Mike Scioscia.
Yeah, both borderline pitches. One before this was on the inside corner. This is right at the top of the strike zone, touching the top of the strike zone. 2 borderline pitches. Both of them went against Mike Trout.
A 1 away. Here's Albert Pujols, who is 0 for 3. He's popped out, grounded out, and lined out. Oh, speed pitch kind of slipped out of Phil's grip. Rangers 7 runs on a dozen hits tonight. The Angels half a dozen hits and no runs. Left center field, long run back for Delino. He's pulling up. That ball's gone into the bullpen for Albert Pujols, his 6th home run of the year. It's a 7-1 Ranger lead. Well, I don't care if Pujols is hitting a .190 or .490. You can put a charge into a ball that you leave out over the plate, and he just did.
That ball went about 415 feet out of line. That's about the only way a ball is going to fall in today in the Ranger outfield, is if it goes over the fence.
That's right. That for Pujols, his career home run number 566. He is 13th on the all-time list. So the shutout is gone, but Rangers still have the game in hand here at 7-1. Cole Calhoun takes outside. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Calhoun hit the slicing triple to left center field his last time up. Out of play to the left, a ball and 2 strikes. You'll remember last year that a big part of the Angel offense was having Calhoun hitting up near the top of the order, first or second a lot of the time, and kind of setting the table for Trout and Pujols. Mike Scioscia dropping Calhoun down in the order this year to get him in more of a run-producing area of the lineup. So far, it hasn't worked for him. 2-2. Brett Nicholas having a good night behind the plate. Rangers in that overshift in the infield. 2-2 pitch.
Boy, a lot of foul balls this inning. Mike Trout fouled off a number of pitches. Calhoun's doing the same thing.
Kind of in that middle zone about being sneaky fast the way Phil Klein is. Middle zone meaning quick enough or appearing quick enough so the guys don't get good wood on it, but not quite quick enough to get it by him. Anderson Simmons will be next in the Angel order. Payoff pitch coming. We will see an 8th pitch of this at bat. Klein into the wind, and another 3-2. To left field, Desmond going back at the track, up against the scoreboard. He can't make the play, and Calhoun will have himself a double.
Yeah, Calhoun showing some pretty good power. You've seen Mazzara hit a couple of balls that way to the warning track. Calhoun drove that ball off the wall. Great wood on that. Showed his strength the other way. 5th double for Calhoun so far this year. Pitch is outside too. That's how strong the guys are today. I don't know, 30, 40 years ago guys could do that. Some guys could. Most guys couldn't. Take a pitch that's 3 or 4 inches outside and drive it 375 feet off the left field wall.
While we have a second here, we'd like to remind you the first post-game concert of the season takes place on Saturday, May 14th. That follows the game against the Blue Jays. Come on out to Globe Life Park and see Cody Johnson, presented by Budweiser. Tickets and passes to watch the show from the field are available at texasrangers.com/concerts. And don't forget to wear your red out to the ballpark. It's red out the ballpark that day. A 1 out with Calhoun at second. Anderson Simmons 1 for 3 tonight with a single. Klein's 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Albert Pujols put an end to Phil Klein's scoreless start to 2016. And Phil now trying to prevent any further damage. To right field, Mazzara has a play. 2 out. Tagging at second, moving over to third is Calhoun. Next will be C.J. Cron. So Phil Klein trying to get the final out, nail down this Ranger W. Would give the Rangers their 2nd consecutive series win here at home. They won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees and by winning the first 2 games of this 3-game series, would take the series from the Angels. A little bit tight for ball 1 to Cron. Cron had that triple to right field his first time up. 1 for 3 tonight. Phil Klein out of Youngstown State in Ohio. Little looper, shallow right field. Mazara coming on, and he can't quite get it. It falls in. In to score is Calhoun, and a looping single for C.J. Cron, and the RBI makes it a 7-2 ball game.
Well, the Rangers and the Angels, for that matter, have made a number of diving catches tonight. Nomar almost brought, well, he did bring it back into the ballpark, almost caught a home run, ended up as a triple. This one looks like he got his glove on it, actually hit his wrist. Would have been another nice play to end the ball game. He gets far enough. The ball kind of hits on the bottom of his glove, missed the pocket of his glove.
Cron going to second. Defensive indifference will allow him to get in scoring position. Carlos Perez, the hitter, takes strike 1. Perez, 2 fly balls and a ground ball tonight, 0 for 3. And now down on the count, 0-2. Crowd of 41,571 on hand here tonight, and the majority of them up on their feet. They are applauding Phil Klein and the Rangers. See if they can close out this win over the Angels. The 0-2 pitch from Klein. Let's go Rangers chant breaks out here among the throng. Foul back. Well, Phil having to work overtime. 27 pitches in this inning. Derek Holland had a fairly smooth time of it tonight. Worked 6 innings of shutout baseball and only 4 hits. Again, Klein ready for another 1-2 pitch. All the way to the backstop. And down to third goes Cron as Red Nicholas having to scurry all over the place, that carom. Wild pitch.
Now, Phil's been good almost every time out. If you're going to have an outing where it's not going totally your way, this is the time to have it with a big lead.
And he was trying to hit Perez's bat up there is what he was trying to do. That's one of those tricky pitches. Hard to do. Hit a guy's bat as you knock him down and have it bounce right back to you. 2-2. He'll come back and try it again after that foul ball.
There have been a lot of foul balls this inning.
Yeah.
He's thrown a lot of pitches that instead of being put in play maybe for an out, they just prolong the at-bats with foul balls.
And the next pitch for Phil will be his 30th of this inning. Rangers shading Perez around to the left side on the infield. Another 2-2 pitch. Got him swinging. And that is a winner. Well, Phil Klein able to throw 30 pitches and get the Angels. Gave up a couple of runs on 3 hits and leaves 1, but Rangers cruise on into victory tonight. 2 in a row over the Angels, 4 in a row overall, and that ties their season high win mark. They will go for the sweep and 5 in a row tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, 7-2 as the Rangers get it done. Another big inning, and they have ridden that big inning idea to a lot of their victories this year. That 6-run 3rd inning tonight. Rangers putting 8 hits together in that frame and just kept right on going into the clubhouse. A good night overall. Derek Holland gets his third victory in 4 decisions this year. Holland, whose ERA now will be down in the upper 2s after this evening. Big night for Holland, big night for the Ranger offense. Mitch Moreland with a 3-run home run, capping off a huge offensive outburst in that 3rd inning. The Rangers win at 7-2. Let's head down and check in with Emily Jones.
Thank you very much with Rougned Odor. Rugi, 3 doubles tonight. What was the key to being so comfortable at the plate for you?
I mean, I was in the body practice. I was feeling pretty good in the VP, and then I just bring it to the game.
As far as the defense, we've talked about how focused you guys have been defensively. Where did that emphasis start, and how much do you guys notice it out there on the field together?
I mean, we've been working pretty hard in the defense with Elvis and Adrian and Mitch. And hold on.
And hold on.
Please hold on.
Double dose. Double dose. Tau coming. Rugi, the defensive intensity and to the difference from April last year to April this year. You personally and as a team, how different does it feel and how good does it feel?
I mean, I think we're more focused in the game right now. We're more like, we anticipate the play right now, and that's how we are right now.
And then playing so well at home. You guys have played so well. How important is that to establish that home field advantage early?
I mean, it's great. Play great at home. Play with our fans. It's always great.
Rugi, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Rougned Odor, guys, back up to you.
All right, Ed, thanks very much. Very happy Rougned Odor and a happy Ranger ball club as they head into the clubhouse after the 7-3 win. We will get some final thoughts together and be back with a lot more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.